Do you have any sister-in-laws living?
No.
When you were first married, were you and Grandpa paying for Lenny's house at that time?
I think they paid for it while we was in Ottumwa. See, we lived in Ottumwa for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Whitey had started buying it when he was still home, but then after we were married, where they kept up the payments on it. So we came back and then they turned it back over to us.
So, probably Chance was home at the time. It was about the only one Chance and Lenny then were paying for it?
Jess.
And Jess?
Yeah, he was home too.
Oh, okay. Where did you and Grandpa go on your first date?
I'm not too sure of it about the first date. No, I don't know. I think we went to a picture shop, but I don't really remember.
Here in Kyoto?
Yeah. First big thing was a crowd of us went over by the Palisades at Cedar Rapids on a picnic one time.
Mm-hmm.
About 4 or 5 couples, I suppose.
Palisades was like a park, a ferris?
Yeah, it was just more a place you could get down too close to the river over there. Place I don't know whether it was the real Palisades we were to or not. They called it that, but it was just seemed like kind of a stretch along the river, more sandy beach along there.
And just on the weekend, went up there.
Just a Sunday.
Yeah. And Grandpa was using the company cars at the time, was he?
I don't remember. Could have been his own, I just don't really remember.
So he may have owned one at that time. And he was working for Chevrolet at that time.
Yeah.
Do you remember any movies that you did see with him?
Too long ago.
Which restaurant did he take you to when he was working in Ottumwa, and where was it?
I don't know if we ever went to a restaurant when I was in Ottumwa.
Well, when he was working in Ottumwa. I think he was working in Ottumwa, wasn't he?
Oh, there on the weekends.
Yeah.
Oh, we usually went to Smitty's.
That's, where was that at?
Well, it's a building that's closed. They just put a new front in it there on Main Street, on the south side of Main Street. Kind of right beside that vacant lot in between the south side of the street, kind of across from the drugstore.
Okay. There was a train that came through Kyoto at one time, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, we had a train night and morning. Long time.
Where were you living when you and Grandpa were dating?
You know where they're tearing that building down, that brick building on Main Street there, corner of Main Street? Right straight north of there, the third house, the alley, and then there's 2 houses, and then we lived in the third house.
On the same street that Norman Roger living on now?
No, another street over.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
They're north from the bank.
How did Grandpa react when you told him you were pregnant the first time?
I don't remember. I don't remember whether he was happy or sad. Shocked, probably.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Did you want to start a family that early?
I think I hadn't even thought about it. Yeah, we weren't into all the birth controls and things like you are now.
Yeah. Did you get along well with all of your in-laws?
I think so.
Did he get along okay with your family?
Yeah. He liked to tease my mother. She was a devout Democrat, and he was Republican, and he just loved to start an argument with her about the Democrats and Republicans. She could hold her own, but he just did it for harmliness.
Yeah. How were you and Grandpa dressed when you were married?
tell you a thing, he just had a suit, what kind of a suit I wouldn't know. He just had probably blue, he liked blue. I had a kind of blue, stylish dress.
Mm.
I kept it for a long time, but I don't think it's out anymore. It's kind of this thin material like they used to make dresses out of.
Yeah.
Kind of a long-waisted affair, and then it had kind of a big flounce on the bottom of it. I thought it was really something.
Mm. Now, how long had you planned on the wedding? I mean,
Well, we had planned on getting married the year before, and then Lenny had a appendectomy, I believe it was, or something. See, she'd been cooking at the restaurant down there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put it off we kind of put it off until Jess got out of high school too. So he could help look after the family a little bit.
Yeah.
So he got out of high school, he went to Sellman and got a job too, which was a thing for him to do because there wasn't much future here for him.
So everybody knew that you were going to get married.
Oh, I suppose they took it for granted as long as we went together. We went together for probably a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. But did you, when you got married up in Sigourney, right?
Yeah.
At the courthouse?
We got up there, we hadn't made any arrangements because we didn't know a preacher up there, and a couple from here that stood up with us took me up there, and he came from Ottumwa and met us there.
Who was the couple?
Kirk and Clara Teets.
Mm.
They weren't married at that time, but and he got in town, and the first night he went to get a license, or a marriage license. We could get him at the same day we were married then. He had to have somebody vouch for him, and so he went out on the street to see if he could find anybody he knew, and he happened to run into this Rose Congerty that I think Pam was talking about, or Norma or somebody. Homer's married to Jack's mother now, that Congerty.
Mm-hmm.
It was his mother. So she had to go in with him to vouch for who he was, and I didn't have to be there at all. He just gave him my information. So then he started looking for a preacher. Well, there were practically all the preachers in town were gone to convention somewhere. And he just kept looking till he finally found this one that I just got back the night before. I think he got him out of bed. We were married in their home, this where the preacher lived.
Mm-hmm. Was that in the afternoon or in the evening?
It was in the morning.
In the morning?
I think it was time we got everything, preacher and everything lined up. It was almost noon by then.
Mm. Was this on a Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know. It was in the middle of the week, I think.
Mm. And what were you working at that time?
Well, I was probably working part-time. There's 2 or 3 different places in town whenever they needed anybody. I would work
Mhm.
there. But I don't remember. I just really don't remember whether I was working right then or not.
So how old were you when you first went out with Grandpa then?
Well, we were 21 when I was married. I suppose I must start going out with him when I was 19. Something. That'd be about right. I think it was sometime in 19.
Grandpa ever say why he was attracted to you?
No.
Why were you attracted to him?
I don't really know. Yeah, I think to start with, it's just somebody to go out with.
Mm-hmm. Were you the shy and quiet type when you first met him?
Well, I wasn't quite as shy as I was when I was in high school, I don't think.
Mm.
I never was very outgoing, I don't think.
What did your mom think of him?
So right as far as she is concerned, I guess.
What meals did you fix that Grandpa liked?
I liked about everything. Just trying to think if there's anything special he didn't like. He liked his bacon and eggs for breakfast, but over the last years he couldn't I have one about 2 eggs a week, so they
Mm.
kind of curtail that. Probably shouldn't have been having bacon either, I don't suppose. 'Cause
Yeah. Well, during the Depression, did you have to alter your lifestyle?
we never did live that high, but we had some hard times during the Depression. One year we'd had a real good garden. I canned everything that was cannable, and then we'd have had some hungry days if I hadn't, because we relied on what I had canned a lot.
Were you working at that time?
No,
He was just barely working, wasn't he?
I think about $10 a week, something like that.
Is that
Probably
right?
when we traveled around.
Mm. Was it?
And then on top of it, that's when Miss Marvel I've been talking about, she got real sick. Well, it turned out to be a ruptured appendix, and she about died, and we had her daughter with us for about a month or 6 weeks on that length of time too, that we had to
Mm.
feed her too, so.
Boy. Was that a time also when it seemed like the other members of the family, not in the immediate family, but your brothers and sisters, everybody tried to chip in and help each other?
Yeah, they did. So Sierra lived on the farm, it was always kind of astounding me, because they had plenty of milk and eggs and everything like that. I don't think they ever even thought that we were having such a hard time.
Is that right?
Your dad, one time when he was working, teaching out of Keokuk, told me that they got talking about hard times, just the faculty, I suppose, were talking about hard times one time, and they started asking him about what he remembered about it, and he said, I don't remember a thing about it. He said, we were just having so much fun that I didn't even know we were hard up.
Hmm.
So I thought that was quite a compliment if we got by that way.
So obviously the Depression wasn't something that was too hard on he and Norma.
Well, evidently not, because, of course, Norma, she was just been a good baby during that time.
She was born in 32, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had been young enough, I don't suppose he would. But we did always kind of make our own fun. We played cards and games with the kids when they were growing up. On weekends we'd go fishing and one thing or another, so they just thought that's the way of life.
Did you have to deny them anything?
Oh, I suppose.
Christmases
I
were a
remember
little...
one time, I think was one of the most, well, 2 different times, it was kind of a heartbreaking thing for me. I suppose Whitey too. We just didn't have the money to hardly give him anything one Christmas. And I think we got I can't remember for sure, but I think we got a doll for Norma, and we got an indoor ping pong table with paddles and stuff for Bob, and that was just it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one of his friends came up that same morning showing off his gifts. He had a radio, a portable radio, which was a very rare thing in those days.
Yeah.
And then one other time, I think he must have been in about the 7th or 8th grade. And the class he was in, the music teacher, they was putting on a program or something. Well, he had outgrown his suit, and we just couldn't buy him a suit. Well, every kid he had sweaters, but they couldn't wear sweaters. They had to have a regular suit on.
Mm.
So he had to dress up in that. Sleeves were too short, legs were too short. He just outgrown it, that was all.
Mm.
The next day, then, this one friend's mother called and said that her son she'd been there. I didn't even go. I think I was too ashamed to go see the poor kid up there like that. And when it said that John had outgrown one of his suits, we'd like to have it. I said, I'll ask Bob. I asked him. He says, no way am I going to wear his suit. He tell everybody that would meet there that he's wearing my suit.
Mm.
So I don't know. I didn't have enough sense to that. He had a paper out at the time, and Gerald Oakes was one that had the men's furnishing store, clothing store, was the proprietor of it, and he knew Gerald real well. And I said, why don't you go down and see if you can get a suit and just instead of him paying you for his paper, just let that go in the suit. He went down, and Gerald was real happy to do it.
Mhm.
Why I wouldn't have thought of it before this all happened, I don't know, but he just had never needed the suit until just that one day when this teacher sprung it on him that
Yeah.
they had to have it. But I did feel so sorry for him because I knew that he couldn't help but be embarrassed and up there. Probably not as embarrassed as I was, because I don't think kids that age pay that much attention to their clothes.
Well, maybe. Well, did you ever go without any meals during the Depression?
I always had something. I remember you could get hamburger for about 15 cents a pound then. And I'd get a pound of hamburger and I'd try to eke it out a little by putting some bread in it, kind of like, and then frying it. And about the first time I did that, I said, "What's the matter with this hamburger? Don't taste as usual." I don't remember how I got by with that. Just making it go for me.
Well, did you fix lunches for Grandpa when he was working?
Oh yeah, he came home from the meals all
And was that the big meal of the day then, was a lunch?
the time. Yeah, it always was. Most places here are. Now some places aren't when the man and woman are both working, sometimes they have their big meal in the evening.
Yeah.
But around Kyoto, the noon meal's usually about the big meal.
Mm-hmm.
Even all the years I worked, that was still our main meal.
So he came home for lunch every day then,
Mhm.
that he was working here. But then when he was on the road, when he did some selling on the road, did you always pack him a lunch then to take with you?
No, I don't remember, sometimes he would be calling on dealers and even have to take them out to
Mm-hmm.
eat too, but he'd usually, well, there were sometimes he was out far enough that he'd have to stay overnight or maybe a day or two.
Yeah.
Of
Well, now,
course, the company paid for that.
but they reimbursed him though, didn't they? He had to pay for
Well,
it?
when he was working for this one company, and when he was working for the other, he was on just straight commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And everything, gas and everything, he had to pay for himself. And I think that was when we were really hard at because he wasn't selling enough. It was just when people were not buying anything more than that. It was usually livestock feed that he was selling. Well, people were trying to get by with just feeding what they were raising without any supplements. So
Yeah.
there just wasn't really too many jobs right at that time to get. Because he always seemed to have luck getting a job if there's any, because I knew he was a good worker.
Well, now when did you move out to the farm?
1952, I believe.
Why did you decide to go to a farm?
Well, I don't know. I never did understand it. He worked out at this seed corn place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Worked out there, and well, he was the boss out there, really. Of course, the main boss was over him, but he did all the planning one thing or another. The CD would tell him where to, kind of what he wanted done, but he did the bossing of all the other people under him. And did always got along just fine, but he just thought Friday was just it. And he and his wife and another couple went on a trip to the east somewhere one time. Of course, Whitey was in charge while they were gone. When they came back, he just more or less informed him that he was fired.
Hmm.
And we never could figure out why. The only thing we could figure is this couple he was with, whether they had said something that Whitey wasn't doing right by him or what, we don't know.
Hmm.
He never gave him any explanation why or anything else.
Was Grandpa mad?
Oh, he was hurt. He was just heartbroken, they're thinking, but because I don't think he ever did get fired before.
Yeah.
And so he got mad enough that he demanded extra pay for letting him go, and he got enough, and then, I don't know, they talked to Smitty about it. Smitty had this farm down here that he didn't have anybody on, and he kind of, well, he must have had somebody on it for a while, but they were moving, and the house was just sitting there, and he more or less wanted to farm it himself, so he and Smitty went into partnership, and he bought half the machinery and everything that we needed on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
I started on there. Well, as your dad would say, Whitey's usual luck. We hadn't much more than got on the farm, and prices began to fall and everything. They were having a big subsidy on milk, and he bought, neither one of us never milked a cow in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he had a few, but I never had. He bought 7 cows and milk cows, and was going to make a big fortune in selling milk, and they took the subsidy off or something, that the price of milk went down, and it just seemed like everything was against him. And we just worked like dogs out on the farm, but we did, but we both enjoyed it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if the prices had just stayed up where they should, I think we'd have made it okay.
Well, now, how long did you stay there?
Let's see. I think 54, 55, we were over there about 3 or 4 years. I started, we began to get so hard up that I got a job in town in a Tulsa's store. And,
In a what?
Tulsa's store,
Oh.
grocery and and drove back and forth for a while, and I think in the spring of that year, he sold out the rest of the stuff, and he came in and got a job. And that was that.
Who did you go to work for then?
I think Daryl Grimes, but I'm not sure.
Hmm.
He was in there somewhere as another feed store.
So where were you living then? Did you move here?
Oh, we moved down there where I was.
Hmm. And then you moved up to here in what, 57?
Well, we kind of wanted to buy it, 56, I believe, almost 56. We kind of wanted to buy that house down there, and the guy that owned it didn't want to sell. Well, the people who lived here were going to move to California, and they wanted to sell. So we bought this one. And I think just the day after he signed the paper, the guy that owned that house down there, he was in a nursing home. Going up and changed his mind, he guess he'd sell. And he said, well, you're too late now. We just signed the paper to buy this other house.
How much did you buy this house for?
$3,800.
That's quite a bit of money back then.
It was enough.
Yeah.
It was,
So then who did Grandpa work for from that point on?
well, he, I was trying to think, I think it was Pete Palmer had a kind of a welding, I don't know what kind of work they did down there, that place right where there's 2 big doors right back in Central, in between Central and the Eagle office.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He had some kind of, I don't know, I think they made stuff. They made hog farrowing crates and things like that, and he worked in there. And I don't know, he got something wrong with one leg, and kind of like a silent nerve thing on his leg, because so he just couldn't stand anymore.
Hmm.
So I don't remember when he did quit work. He worked off and on for several years, but he just got the place where he could work anymore. Well, let's see. I quit work in '70. He hadn't been working too much for 3 or 4 years before that, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a gradual retirement. It wasn't sudden. Well, now who did he work for? What was the car dealership he worked for when you first knew him? When you first started going out?
He was working for Katie and Vincent. I don't think they sold Chevrolets. I think they sold Dodges, and they didn't have the Plymouths came out while we were going together. Because I remember one time we went up to Sigourney one night. I rode up with him for some. I remember when he went up there for. And I was sitting in the car while he went in to talk to whoever it was he wanted to see, and that car was just surrounded like this with people coming down the street, new car on the market. He might have gone up there to try to see if there's this guy in the car. It could be, but I don't even know who the guy was.
So how long did he work for that company then?
I don't know. I don't know how long he worked on it before I started going with it.
But when did he quit going working for them?
When
then?
he went to Ottumwa.
Okay.
Went over there to Canning Motor Company in Ottumwa.
And then he worked there for how long?
Till we moved back to Kyoto.
And then who did he go work for?
He and another guy started up a garage down there.
The Whitey and Ms.?
Yeah.
And is Ms. still around?
No, he's died.
Who was that? What was his real name?
Henderson.
Ms. Henderson? How long did that work?
Oh, well. Times got so hard that they just couldn't make a go. People didn't have money to get their stuff done. And,
Mid-30s maybe?
must have been. I was trying to think. Yeah, I think that was before Rona was born, probably. Sellman came back here in 30, and she was born in 32. I just really don't remember. He must just have been in it a year or so, too. I don't think, because I was trying to think where he was when she was born. Maybe he went to work for Frischwaters then, about that time. Frischwaters Feed.
As a salesman?
Oh, he was a little bit of everything. He unloaded coal, and he handled eggs, and
He what?
handled eggs, and you know that.
Oh.
People bring the light and see whether they're rotten or good eggs. Saturday night, we used to stay open on, the stores used to stay open on Saturday night, and he would, the farmers would all bring their eggs and stuff in. He'd be there maybe till midnight, testing cream and handling eggs, and on his feet all evening doing that.
How did he test cream?
Well, they brought the cream in. I don't know if they tested it. I suppose they, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know what they did with the cream. They bought it, but maybe they tested it for butter content or something. I just don't remember. And I was trying to think what I think they had feed too. They sold feed and loaded feed. They had regular truckers, but I don't think he did much of any trucking, but outside of that, about everything you do around the store, he did.
How long did he work for them? Who did he work?
Several years, though.
Who did he work for after that?
Well, it could have been the next one. It could have been the Standard Station. He had it for 2 or 3 years.
Just a filling station?
This one was still down here. And then after that, I don't remember whether he worked for Hershey again for a while or not. It's kind of sounded like he did. I can't remember the rotation how they worked. I just remember places that he worked.
And during the 40s? During
the
the
40s, he was supervisor selling feed. Because he had this pretty good job with this one feed company that was doing this real well. And then they that down where you couldn't buy gas to, oh, that fell through it then, because there wasn't enough trains for him to go to these different places to stop eat.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get gas to them. And then what did he do? Maybe about that time. Maybe about that time then he went out to CD has worked out there for several years.
So from after the war until 52 or so, he worked for C.D.
As far as I
Kirkpatrick.
remember, they did, yeah.
It's an awful lot of jobs to have in a lifetime.
Yeah, it really was. And yet it seemed like, well, he started working awful young, so.
Yeah. Well, he worked from age 10 till, what, 65? 67?
Yeah, about 67, isn't
57 years of work, that's a long time. You want to tell me that story you were telling me about Dad?
it? The one I told you to remember to tell it.
Yeah.
Well, they had a new coach here in town, and one of their first meetings, he started telling them what they should eat, especially for breakfast. So about the next morning, I had a meal out on the table, and I don't remember what it was, but when Bob came to the table, he said, "Oh, I can't eat that. Coach said I should eat so-and-so." I said, "Okay, get your go up the coaches and eat your meal." Can't you imagine I'd be that hard-hearted, would you? I imagine he sat there and ate it.
Yeah, just didn't tell the coach.
He didn't really tell the coach what his mama said this morning. I think a person doesn't realize how much stuff their kids tattle to the teachers anyhow. I know Melissa was telling something to Pam the other day, and Pam says, "You don't tell what happens around here after at school." And it wasn't anything amounted to much, but she could probably tell funny. I said, "Oh, heavens no, you're supposed to keep that all to yourself, Melissa."
Just supposed to be one big happy family, I guess.
Yeah. Well, even a happy family, little things happen, and
Yeah.
you don't care to half-pet it all through the town.
Well, now, Dad was when he was in the service. He came home for Christmas. The only time that he was in the service, I think.
Yeah.
And I think you had everybody over to your place, didn't you, for Christmas meal?
I kind of think so.
That's and that was in the place down by behind Dorothy's.
Yeah.
And then I think Dad said he brought a bunch of cigarettes, a bunch of cartons of cigarettes for Grandpa, because he got them cheap through the PX, I think. Grandpa just loved that. They smoked a lot, I guess, during that time. But that's the one thing that I can remember most. The last time I think we were here, laying on those air mattresses, and then when Grandpa would get up in the morning, he'd be hacking and hacking and hacking. And then when he'd get done, then he'd light up.
With a cigarette. Then he finally quit smoking altogether.
Yeah.
The last few years. Just chew on a cigar instead.
Mm-hmm. Of course, that's what Dad is Daddy. In those last few weeks that he was alive, was he able to get around okay?
Oh yeah, he was up and around doing. That was the year that I had a blood clot in October. He was looking after me after I got home from the hospital. And he was just feeling sick that one day, and I went to call the doctor. And he finally said okay, and so as soon as he came, he said, "We better go to the hospital." We went up to the hospital the next day. I was up there part of the day with him, and then I think it was that night, Saturday night, and all of a sudden his blood pressure started dropping. And doctor called me from the hospital. They called him back up to the hospital. Norman was having a party. Norman and Roger were having a party out there. I called her and told her that he was sending an ambulance up after her. And so he had the ambulance pick us up too, and we just rode on that up to the hospital with them. Took him to the hospital, and he just never really became unconscious. His mind was wandering a little. The next morning, I know Norma went in the room, and he said something about to get the kids up to school okay or something. And he used to take her to school quite a lot back when he was here. I don't think he lasted over an hour or so after he was talking to us about something. Dr. Shock was the doctor, and the same one I doctor with. He came in and he left and they had to call him back, and he apologized for not being there at the time. He said he didn't realize that he was quite as bad as he was when he left the hospital. And then they made it, he asked me an autopsy on him to see just what it was. So when he told us that, he said that one part of his heart had just completely collapsed. He couldn't figure out how he lived as long as he did. So that's evidently what it did when he was up in the city there.
So he went from Sigourney to Iowa City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he had, at the time, he had gallbladder problems.
Oh, he'd had that a couple of years ago before. Yeah, he had his gallbladder taken out. He had a rupture and stuff, fine, gritty stuff had gone all through his system. It worked out of that cavity where the incision for just days afterwards. Just little black spiky things came out of there.
Lovely.
Just like little chunks of sand or something.
Now he took the kids and he picked them up from school every day.
Yeah, that was a daily chore. Gave him something to do.
Something to look forward to. Now you were the one that was collecting coins, but you also got him involved in that a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, we got to work at her and I
Yeah.
into the collecting.
He'd go down and play cards with the guys.
Yeah, he did. The last few years he did. He said just got on his nerves all fussing and arguing and getting into down there. He was in the bear parlor and they were always kind of noisy anyhow. He said it was just too much for him. It was too bad because it gave him something to do while I was working. But he did a lot of things around here. He did all the shopping. After I started shopping after he died, I hardly knew where anything was at the store. He'd see us out of something, he'd make a list, he'd start making a list and get the groceries. Cleaned it every week, he cleaned the house, did the dishes a lot. He didn't do any cooking. I tell him to turn on the oven or something at a certain time or something like that, but he didn't. He didn't wash the dishes and everything the last year or so that I worked. Didn't do the washing, I did the washing.
That's good. Didn't wear an apron, huh?
Yeah. Oh, he might have, I don't know. Tied something around it to keep from slopping and stuff.
Do you think that Grandpa was a happy man?
I think he was. He got quite a kick out of life. He liked his little, he loved to tease somebody, and I think he was quite happy. There were as many hardships and all that he had in his life. I don't know how he could have been quite as good-natured and happy as he was.
You said though that he seemed to get along a lot better with Dad when Dad was an adult, because they could more or less relate to each other.
Yeah, they like to do things together.
Did they do some things though when Dad was a little boy?
Oh, not too much. I think I'd be more apt to be out playing ball with him and things like that.
Yeah.
Time he'd get home from work, he was usually too bush to do much playing.
He and Norma got along real well.
Yeah, he was older than what he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got along with her fine.
And my dad and Norma got along okay.
Yeah, he was awful good to her. He would take her to shows when he was 12, 13 years old. And would take her brother would monkey with a little 6-year-old.
Yeah.
I'd hear him coming up the street after the show just to talking the show over to each other.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was always nice with her. Oh, they'd have their arguments about everything. See, now, one thing I always remember, we were a little better off then, I think, because I think we had pork chops or something for supper one time. And usually I just had about one apiece for us, you know. This one night there seemed to be one left over. And he was eyeing that pork chops, but still hadn't quite finished his. All of a sudden, Norma's fork went out and got that pork chop. He about went through the ceiling. She knew I wanted that pork chop, and I just saw her watching me. And I think I made them divide then. I'm not sure what I did. It was kind of funny because.
Well, now, do you think that Grandpa got along better with Norma than he did with Dad then?
Oh, no, he got along okay. I think he was more apt to reprimand your dad than he was her. Maybe you'd argue back with him or something, although your dad always thought Norma was quite an arguer too, because he told her one time he hoped she had a child just like her.
I've heard that line before.
Followed down into your family.
Yeah. Well, now, was Grandpa ever disappointed in anything Dad did?
I don't remember anything.
Like going into the service or
Oh no, just a thing you had to do.
or the jobs that he had or anything?
Really, no, I don't think he always, Bob was always great to be alone with volunteer. He was still pretty young when he started working on the railroad out here in the summertime. That was hard work.
Yeah. Well, what did Grandpa think about him going to be a teacher?
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Steady work, huh?
He always felt so bad that he couldn't go on. He said he just lost school.
Yeah.
And he ended up when he saw him, he said he cried when he had to drop out of school.
Yeah.
Help make a living. It still just must be 3 to 0.
Yeah. Well, his relationship with Lenny was pretty special, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because he, even though Chance lived with Lenny, he more or less took care of her, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because he saw her probably every day, and
I don't know if he saw her every day, but there was never a weekend. No, he saw her. Of course, we lived right over there, and then went back and forth.
did Lenny take advantage of him, do you think?
Oh, a little bit, yes. I think so.
But he never minded, did he?
I'll never forget that we came back from Nebraska after we made the trip out and taken Chancellor out to see her brother and nephew and his wife. And we were going to, a week, and then we were going to take off, it might have been over a week. We were going to take off for Springfield to go down and see Art and Mabel. And your dad was going home that time, which would have made 4 of us in the car. And we weren't planning on taking that because we figured they'd gone out there. And she'd been down there several times with other people, and we'd never been down. So we didn't say a thing to him about going down there. And she started to get out of that car that night. She said, well, are we going to Springfield with you or not? And of course, oh, Dad, oh, sure, you can go. So 6 of us went in the Yankee car. And so she wasn't bashful about wanting to do what she wanted to do.
And yet everything that people tell me, she was just pretty laid back and didn't make it any waves or
Oh, she was
anything.
pretty temporary. She went right in and put nothing. We got along fine. She was always fine with me.
She had red hair,
Yeah.
did she? I've never seen colored pictures of her. So
Oh, yeah, she had red hair.
Hmm.
I'm not very kind of auburn hair, but brownish red.
Yeah.
Hers was regular red.
Huh.
So I wonder one of the kids didn't get it.
Well, Kay got it.
Yeah, that, well, I mean, her own kids.
Yeah.
Most of them were outside of Whitey, they were all dark haired.
Yeah, and the pictures that you see of them, they look like they were blonde when they were real little.
Well, of course Whitey was.
Yeah.
And it was right, I didn't think of him.
Hmm.